Okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Wait for a couple of people to get in here, listening to a little bit of jazz. Excuse me. Hello. 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 How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Just gonna wait for a couple of more people to come in because who can we talk about it? Child, can we breathe? Can we just have a moment to breathe? As women of color, I'm talking to us today. I'm talking to my sisters. I'm talking to my sisters of color today. Can we breathe? Can we breathe? I'm revamping my curriculum, 5S's in the C, that's me, Women's Development and Training Program, and getting ready to let my automatic marketing do what it needs to do while I'm over here doing what I need to do on the island, okay? So don't think that I'm not resting when you start seeing all this marketing. Don't think that I'm not resting. I'm resting. Trust. That's about ready to be automation. So that's what I'm doing in the background right now. All right, hold on for 1 second. I'm gonna share a little bit of you know, what I'm working on. So I'm working on my marketing and my page, and so I'm gonna read a little bit to you. So I want to know, can you relate to any of the following of things? Do you feel alone? Because I want to let you know that number one, you're not alone. There's so many women in today's society, especially, I don't care what age you are, I don't care what stage of life that you're in, that we're feeling overwhelmed, right? Navigating this world is difficult, no matter what age you are, no matter what age you are, navigating this world at this particular time is difficult. Not to say that it's the most challenging, because we know as people of color that it's not, but it's very difficult. And that's just the point of the matter, right? Thank you so much for the hearts and the stars and the gifts. Thank you. I appreciate it. Please, hearts, tap the screen and heart. And thank you for all of that. I appreciate it so much. Um, but yeah, we're stressing. And and I heard somebody say, those that work in the nonprofit arena are even more stressed out. And I'm tending to believe that that is so true. And this is another reason why the healing retreats is very important, not just for this one time to come together in August, but actually to make space for our brothers and our sisters who are in the healing space that work with the trauma within our community. Because, like myself, although that I work in the community and I work with trauma, I myself just had to endure some really harsh things. But it doesn't stop me from having my clients. It doesn't stop me from the other things that were already going on in my life as a woman of color. With my children and dysfunction and all the different things that are going on nowadays in the majority of our households, if we're honest. If we're honest, a lot of us are fragmented. A lot of us have children that don't like each other, don't like us. There's a lot of mental illness. There's a lot of trauma. And it's not really being addressed. And that's why I say it's so important, so imperative that we start with healing. And I speak to the women, but trust, this is also open to our men as well. Our men need to heal as well. I'm not excluding them from it It's just that I always talk to women because I'm a woman and I'm a single woman. So I'm always addressing women. But those sisters that walk alongside of me who are married, who are blessed to be married, trust their husbands are invited and they're a part of understanding that the healing is for the collective, not the component of us, but the collective of us. But right now, let's get back to just talking about the women. I just don't want my brothers feeling like they're left out. They're not. Absolutely not. You face the same challenges. We face the same systematic barriers. We have just so many personal hardships. And, but the one thing I want us to not land there on the hardships, but I want us to land here on the resilience of us as a people. I want us to land on the resilience of us in the testament of our strength and the testament of who we are, in the resilience that we have. And I believe it's got to be in our DNA, right? So many of us, regardless of our situation, regardless of our stage in life, regardless of our station in life, we carry unspoken burdens due to traumatization and um, just over and over and over again. But again, remember that we are also strong, but we're stronger best when we're together. And so I want to talk to you. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. I want to talk to those that feel as though that you're in this world, but you're existing, but you don't feel like you're living. You're on social media and you're scrolling, and you're seeing people get money, you're seeing people, get backing, and you're wondering, what about me? Or, you're too scared to come out because you've been hurt. And you've allowed the lie, what I like to call pseudo love. You've allowed pseudo love to manipulate you and hold you down. Because the fact of the matter is, I don't care who you are, you have something to offer. If you've come across anything, I don't care if all you've done is quit smoking cigarettes, you have something that you can help somebody with that's still in that transition. No matter what it is that you've gone through or that you've endured, if you've overcome something, then you absolutely, regardless of how much money you have in the bank or how many, you know, uh, titles that you can gather, you have something to offer somebody else in your community, especially a younger somebody that needs to see us out there. Especially a younger somebodies that need to see us out there in the community. And here's another thing why starting with healing is imperative, because we've had the finances. We've had the finances in our community to be able to turn it around. But because we have been so busy trying to fit in and trying to be equal to the ones our ancestors actually was trying to get away from, that we have forgotten who we ultimately are. We have forgotten who we are. And so it starts with healing. Because if we let me explain something. Let me explain something. When we stop looking at trying to do things with this colonized view of being African American and doing everything that America has said to do so that we can be equal. They say, go vote. They say, do this. They say, and we've done it all. Give us your kids. Send us, let us educate you. Let us feed you. Let us do all these things. And we have complied with everything. And there's a lot of us that have gotten money, whether it be ill-gained, whether it be because you stepping and fetching, or whatever the situation is, or maybe it's, just intelligent, whatever. Enough of us have got some money. But because we follow the way of our ancestors' enemy, and we try to contort ourselves into being this African American, we have built nothing for ourselves. When in essence, we should be looking at who? We should be looking at our own ancestors, because it is our ancestors. It is our ancestors in the midst of the most horrific times for us. Hold on one second. Gotta let my grandbaby in. Oh, hold on, my TikTok. Okay, sorry about that. It was our ancestors, right? In the most horrific of times, in times where they could take our men and rape them in front of everybody, when they could take our daughters and our sisters and our mothers and rape them and do all types of things, and we couldn't do nothing about it. In the horrific of times, and coming out of the horrific of times where they could hang us, lynch us, and bomb us, our ancestors were able to build economic wealth and structure in these United States of America. In the midst of all of that, our ancestors were able to build hospitals, schools, banks, airports, and community in the midst of all of that. And since those in the United States who felt as though we don't deserve that came and flooded, dropped bombs and everything else, we have not created an economic structure yet. So it cannot be the finances that is what's holding us back. And therefore, it cannot be the finances of where we start for restoration. It must come back to the core of who we are, and that is spiritual beings from many different tribes. Yet the spirit, regardless of who we want to call it, is not bipolar. So if you're tapped into the spirit, which is one, regardless of what you call it, there's a higher standard in the way that you conduct yourself, in the way that you carry yourself. So when we come out of the era and start trying to follow everything that the enemy of our ancestors, who have never had anything in their heart's desires to repent or make things right for us in this country. Instead, they continue to keep their foot on our neck in this country, this unrepenting country. And it's going to take a time of healing, of us coming together and repenting and allowing each other to breathe and to be okay that we're in a different tribe, and to come together so we can heal, so now we can bring our finances and our solutions together. Because money is not the solution. Black folks got money, but Black folks have money that have no understanding of who, or remembrance of who they are, or our true culture, or how we actually did things as a people. how we honored and sat and listened and learned from the feet of our elders in the position that they held in our community. And we learned things passed down. I'm not saying throw everything away that we've learned over here. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is it is time for us to disconnect and stop trying to fit into a circle and a cycle and a tribe that is not ours. That is not ours to fit into. Our ancestors' dream was not the American dream. It is not the I had a dream speech from Martin Luther King Jr. that they throw down our throat every year. And those of us that have done our homework know that that was not the final speech. That was not his final thoughts. His final thoughts were what? Come on, y'all, what were they? Am I talking to myself today? Wasn't it I fear that I've led my people into a burning house or a burning building? Wasn't that the last thing that he said? So how do we get back to healing? How do we get back to the place where we were soul brothers and soul sisters? How do we get back to the place where we could say, you know what? Lean on me. I got you. Where do we get back to the place where we take back control of gardening so that we can be healthy? When do we finally begin to actually build economic structure again? Because we have not. And we have more finances. We're in a better situation. We have more intelligence. We have more all time. We are way better off than our ancestors were when they did it. But instead of following our ancestors, we want to sit over here and try to hopscotch with the enemy of our ancestors who ain't never want to do nothing but keep us under their foot in this country. And now when I'm talking, I'm not talking about every person who's not of color. I'm not talking about the average, your average European neighbor. I'm not talking about the person that's struggling right alongside of us. I'm talking about the elite that run this country on both sides. You have to really come to think about this. My dad is 87 years old. He'll be 88 in April of 2025. He'll be 88. The things that he's seen was during the time where they were lynching and burning and all this. And so if my dad's still alive and he's 80 something years old, let's look at these people in power and in control. What is their age category? And so you have to think, so they weren't the ones that were actually doing the hanging and lynching. But when you go back and look at those documentaries, what do you see? You see they're there with their children. Some of them children are 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And they were grown up to watching the excitement of burning Black people alive, to the excitement of hanging Black boys and Black girls. They grew up with the picnic going and picking a Negro. How old are those people now? All those things, what healing did they go through? These are the people that want to dictate to us, right? The books when it comes to psychology and emotional healing and all these other things. But what healing did they go through? What decolonization did they go through to change their perception that's embedded in them since they were children? Because those are the ones that hold the most wealth. Those are the ones that don't want to let go of the wealth. Those are the ones that have the inherited blood money from our ancestors. And those are the ones that are running the country. So if you think that finances, that they, honey, it's not the answer. It's not how we're going to break free. Finances is their thing. Greed is their thing. Our thing, lest I remind us, is spirituality. Our thing, lest I remind us, is our connection to the divine, our connection to our higher self. And that's why I do. And that's why I'm calling for people to come together next year for a week of peace, a week of healing, a week where we're not starting with finances, but a week where we're starting with our ancestors, a week of repentance, a week of all the different tribes being represented and coming together. You want to see real breakthrough? We have to rip off the mask. And I'm not telling you who to serve. I'm not telling you. All I'm saying is line up with the spirit, because the spirit has a character about it. If you believe in Christianity, then baby, walk it and get rid of all the pagan things and the things that aren't assigned to and inside of the word. If you believe that you belong to the Hebrew tribe, well, then keep them laws, statutes, and commandments and do exactly as it says to do with inside of your tribe. And if you have an ought with your brother or sister, both of you should be handling that according to the word, not the world. Hold to your standard. If you're Kemetic, if you're Moorish, if you're Ephah, if you're Orisha, whatever it is of the spirit, I expect for you to conduct yourself as such. Because what you'll find is if once you take the labels away and you sit the women together and you sit the men together and you actually now begin to talk about conduct and how you carry yourself, for the most part, you'll see that we have more similarities than we have differences. So healing is where it starts, not finances. We've had more than enough finances. We've had more than enough people with finances that could have come and started Black Wall Street all over again. Everybody in Hollywood years ago could have stepped away and said, you know what, we don't care if you never pay us another dime. We can take this 20 million. We can take this 20 million. We can take this 100 million. We can take this 40 million, and we can actually come and we can purchase land and we can actually put up banks and this, and we can now become the finances, because guess what? Who is the number one consumer is Black people. So had they had been thinking like our ancestors, they could have came back, freed themselves and us, and we could have then came and gave our money back and did everything that we're doing now with inside of our own community. So what would you have needed to keep going back there for money for? So it can't start with finances. Finances isn't what's going to get us out of the discombobulation that our community is in, where we have our youth killing our elders and shooting our elders. And you have elders off the Richter scale not knowing how to talk to the youth. What has gone on? What is going on? We acting like a little bit about white because this ain't us. This is not our structure. This is not our original way that we have conducted ourselves. And the generations after me, I fear, will never know if my generation doesn't get it together and go and get as much information as we possibly can and get it right and go back and help those that are getting it right, those that are disconnecting and decolonizing themselves and finding out the truth about who they are and reattaching to their tribe. If we don't go and help, I fear for my grandchildren, one who just came into the world, it's only a couple of months old, another one who's 6. I fear for my 17-year-old grandson that if we don't get it together and they go ahead with this draft, guess what? That's our grandchildren, some of us. Some of us, those are your sons and your daughters. Because I don't know if you know that they were talking about the draft and passing laws for a draft. Anybody 18 through 24? Are y'all so busy following the Diddy stuff that you didn't realize that that was going on in the background? Look, evil is not the one that wants to raise their children with morals and standards. That's not the demonic person. That's not the demonic person. That's somebody who has a different tribe than you, but has morals and has a standard. And I'd rather live alongside the tribes and the different kingdoms that I know have a standard that's more similar to mine than what's going on in these United States of America right now in the community of African American people, Latino people, in those of color who are here. Do you realize that in this United States of America, that not only African American women, but our indigenous sisters go missing more than anybody else without any fanfare? Well, of course, now don't get me wrong, the European girl with the blonde hair and the blue eyes, I still believe is the number one. But for our community to not have as much of a population as them, the numbers are horrific. But where is that on the news? Where is that our native sisters are crying just as hard as we are about their daughters and sons being taken into sex trafficking, because that's where they're going, or organs. But we're not talking about those things. You want to talk about evil. You want to talk about demonic. It's not your Muslim or Kemetic or Christian or other brother or sister who's actually walking according to that standard that's out here raping children, that is out here beguiling your children in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. It is not them that is out here selling drugs to your children and getting your children hooked on drugs in the sauce, in frying their brains with entertainment that we know goes against everything that's good, standard, holy, and righteous. But because we're so busy weaponizing and demonizing one another, that the real enemy is running ragged. And who is suffering and who will suffer the most will be our children's children. If you're in your 50s, it will be your children's children. If you're in your 30s, it will be your children. 30s or younger will be your children. Nobody's coming to say, here, people of color, heal. Here, people of color, just take some time and sort things out amongst yourselves and heal. That's not coming in a vote. That's coming from when we come together and we begin to listen and we come together and we do the steps to say, I am sorry for calling you the wicked and calling you the demonic, because I simply don't jive. I don't have to believe, but I can still respect you enough to protect your children if I see somebody trying to hurt them. I can respect you enough to help you build a school so that you can teach your children and the children of your tribe exactly what you need them to know, while you help me build mine, so that we can forge and protect each other, so that we can re-erect, and then we can have our council of tribes come together and make a peace treaty. That's too easy. We rather sit around fighting and demonizing one another, and meanwhile getting our asses handed to us, literally and figuratively. They're hanging and lynching us in every state. Kids can't even walk through. You working your butt off to get out of the hood to get into the suburbs, and your children can't even walk through the suburbs without grown men and grown women telling them that they don't belong. Some that aren't even from originally this country and have the audacity to tell an African American that they don't belong somewhere. Part of the solution is coming together. Part of the solution is coming together, having these conversations, but then putting actions to it. So I'm revamping my online program. I'm revamping everything that I do to bring it out, these trainings, to show people the blueprint, to show other young women how they can make money helping other young women in the community. And, that's all that I can do. And to say, hey, in August 3rd through the 9th, I would love to have 100 people join me at the river, and let's stand in the gap, and let's have some healing, and let's see if we can't change some things, because we haven't did anything in a real long time in our community. We haven't built anything because our eyes have been on the wrong prize. We have to go back to who we are. Remember who we are. Remember the blood that's in your DNA. This is not about hatred. This is not about hatred. This is about saying, I'm a Black woman, almost 57 years old, and I ain't never seen a time where we could just relax and we just had peace And we just had the opportunity to just heal. It has been trauma after 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 trauma in our community. And yet we own nothing. We've rebuilt nothing. And I see it happening now. I see us all coming together. I see Project Black 2025. I see Shop Black. I see the Black Project. I see all these different things coming together. But I see everybody running for finances first. And so this is a little different call. I say we got to do this part and can't leave out this part. This is the most important part. This is where we go to the river and we power up. And once we make that connection and we clear the air with each other and with divinity, who can stop us? It's time for us to take our rightful positions. We're not supposed to be entangled in their foolishness and folly. Period. We got to take it all the way back. We got to take it all the way back and remember who we are. In 2025 right now, not only I'm getting ready to get off, but not only am I making plans to go to St. Kitts in about 26 days, but I'll be going to the motherland for the first time. I am resolved that 2025, I will actually be going to the motherland. And when I go, I don't go to proselytize. When I go, I don't go to teach. When I go, I don't go as somebody who's coming in who's, because I'm from America and have this arrogance, or when I go with the most humility. I go with the most humility of knowing that I am my ancestors' dream. And my ancestors' dream was to go home. My ancestors' dream was to go back home where they governed and when they had rulership. Now I know that's not how it is back there now, but at least I'll be able to stand in the gap for my bloodline and say, we made it. We made it. I brought you home. I brought you home. Now, if you don't believe that your roots are from Africa, that is fine. It's not an argument. It's okay. Guess what? My father is one of those. I was raised as a Black indigenous American Indian. A Black American Indian was how I was raised. My grandmother is Cherokee. And my father says he has no part to do with Africa. He's always been here. But my mother's side is undoubtedly from West Africa, Nigeria, what they now call the Yoruba people. And so for that, I bring my ancestors home. That means something to me. So major, so beautiful, so powerful. That's how I return. That's how I return to Africa. And I can't wait to get there. Okay, y'all. Well, let's see how long we've been on. Been on for 41 minutes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with me tonight. I don't really come on scripted. Tonight I started scripted. So I'm trying to work all of this out. Don't forget, starting December 15th, I'm going to be switching gears, going on to my spiritual sabbatical for 5 months in St. Kitts. I will switch then to vlogging. I believe that I will still have my Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6, but it will not be all of this. It will no longer be all of this. So you'll have to catch the vlog, and in that you'll see me doing what I'm supposed to be doing. You know, what I'm supposed to be doing spiritually. That's all I know, right? I'm going to figure it out. And I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited about that. I'm excited about revamping my material because it is looking really good. My book, I wrote my book in 2011, Five S's and C, that's me, Women's Development and Training course. It is 5 modules. It all has to do with healing. It is my story of how I broke free from drug addiction, alcohol addiction, from being a survivor of childhood molestation and childhood trauma and rage and violence and domestic violence and all those things that I was able to come out of, and how with nobody being there, no elder Black woman in my family to speak life into me. I was the black sheep, still am the black sheep of the family. And no matter how hard I've tried, they always find a way. They always find a way. So it just finally gets to the point where you say, enough is enough. I'm no longer going to try, right? But, I've been through some things. And so I started developing programs. And way back then in 2011, I wrote this out of a crying out one day. And I sat down, I wrote, and I ended up with a book and a instructor's manual and a workbook. And so now I'm revamping it, making it more thicker. Of course, a lot has transpired in my life since 2011, and a lot more maturity going back and looking at it and seeing what I wrote and being able to really talk to my sisters, from, and some of the chapters I just had to completely erase. Don't feel that way no more. Like, okay, that's not, don't even look out of that lens no more. Let's get rid of that whole thing and let's write it from this lens. Let's write it from this bag of medicine that's a little more easier to digest, and it comes in a little more pretty package, right? And allows for more people to be free to come in. It's not so restrictive, but it allows you to be you. It allows me to be me. So working on that. Let me see if I can switch my. Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all a little bit of my site. Let me see. Let me see if I can't. Here we go. So self-taught. Oh, sorry, those people on Facebook. Y'all cannot see. I'm sorry. But I'm telling my story, talking about the things that I offer. This is the online course. Okay, that will be starting again. I said January, but I think I'm going to push it back because I only have been in St. Kitts for like 2 weeks. And so the different packages, the different journeys for the community. And then I also have things for corporations. And this is for the YouTube launch and podcast launch for sisters who want to step up and share their voice. And of course, our week of healing. retreat and some information about the vision. And then, of course, how to book me for events for 2025 and beyond. So, again, sorry about that, Facebook. Y'all could not see. I was showing you on my phone because I'm on streaming on Facebook and YouTube right now as well. I'll go on to YouTube and do something and show it later. But anyways, yeah, so that's what I've been working on and revamping the curriculum that goes inside of it. And that's the solution. That's my contribution to the solution of fixing our community and getting our community back into a place where we're actually loving one another and we can actually enjoy being outside. And I think that's, swear to God, this is the last thing. And I think that's the thing that I'm going to enjoy about the islands the most, is that whenever I'm watching on YouTube about St. Kitts, um, the community, they do things together. When I was in Honduras, the community is out together. At nighttime, the music is playing, the street vendors are out there with food, and the community is out there enjoying themselves. And we don't do that here unless it's a holiday like a 4th of July or a Labor Day or something. But in the islands, this is what they do. It's community, and that is more of who we were than this over here. And so I'm glad to be able to disconnect and to go and to share that with y'all. Because, babies, we need to heal. That's all. And that's it. Okay, y'all know what I always say. We do not need permission to build economic structure. We do not need permission to heal. We need what? Respect one another's differences. Lead with love. And let's heal so we can power up, so we can change some things. Because I'm sick and tired. And our grandbabies and some of your children deserve better than the direction that this country is going in. All right, y'all. I love you from my heart to yours. I'll be back on Thursday night at 6 o'clock. Until then, have a beautiful evening. Bye. And no, my stream doesn't want to end over here, Facebook and YouTube.